Sexual relations as a powerful political weapon. Let's talk about sexual intercourse, a natural and essential part of life. So crucial that it seems life wouldn't exist without it, as we all have come into the world through it. It is very important, but as human life has evolved, this act, which was originally natural and meant to help people reproduce, has been changed and used in different ways, mainly for various benefits. Even in ancient times, there were people who made a living by being paid to have sexual intercourse with others. Prostitution is the oldest profession in the world. Sexual intercourse has also been used as a trump card in political games and serious betrayals. What we are going to talk about today is how sex itself became a powerful weapon used in espionage. Particularly elevated by the Soviet KGB intelligence agency during the Cold War. This was done countless times, leading to significant victories for the KGB and the Soviet Union as a whole. The information they sought from their adversaries was often obtained through sexual relationships. Listen to this story. After World War II, during the training and selection of those who were to join the KGB and receive spy training, there was a special section for selecting exceptionally beautiful women and girls. They were trained to become spies and were taught various skills, including using secret codes, communication methods, handling weapons, and more. But most importantly, they were taught how to seduce men and get them into bed, with the goal of gathering information. It wasn't just girls. Handsome young men were also selected and trained to seduce women so they could gather the desired information from them. In the KGB, when they were going to send someone to seduce you and lead you into a sexual relationship, they called it Operation Honey Trap. The KGB did this many times, repeatedly using this tactic, which became one of the extraordinary methods they employed frequently, yielding significant results in their spying effort during the Cold War. Let's discuss a few instances where this tactic was applied. In 1960, the Soviet intelligence agency targeted Maurice Dejean, the French ambassador in Moscow, with very beautiful women. They knew he liked beautiful women. Maurice was a close friend of French President Charles de Gaulle. And the Soviets wanted to get information about French politics from him. This is where the KGB set up the first woman, a Russian named Lydia Kavasker, who spoke French very well and had been separated from her husband for some time. She found a way to get to know the ambassador, and they became friends. When their relationship was going very well, the KGB introduced another exceptionally beautiful woman, an actress named Larissa, to the ambassador. While they were enjoying their romance in her apartment, they were suddenly interrupted by another KGB agent pretending to be Larissa's husband. He beat the ambassador, Mr. Dejean, severely, injuring him badly. Lisa had to beg for mercy on his behalf to get the agent to stop. The French ambassador left the scene in great fear, worried about how he would handle the situation if the story got out. Overwhelmed, he sought help from his friend in the KGB, Mr. Mihailovich Gribanov, pleading with him to stop the story from spreading. However, the person he was begging for help was the one who had planned everything. The KGB had the ambassador in their hand, for using him as a card to play whenever they wanted. All of this happened to him because he couldn't resist the beauty of the Russian women in the French embassy. It wasn't just the ambassador who faced such situations. In 1962, Colonel Louis Guegua, who was in charge of military affairs at the embassy in Moscow, chose to shoot himself and die. This happened after he was shown photos of himself in bed with beautiful Russian women, who were actually top KGB spies. The KGB gave him two simple choices: become a KGB spy and provide information from the French government, or they would publish the photos. Colonel Louis, instead of to betray his country or face the shame, he took his own life with a gun. The KGB's scheme to recruit employees from the French embassy was successfully planned. Besides Ambassador Dejean and Colonel Gibaud, who was killed himself, both become lost to KGB for providing valuable information to the KGB. KGB tried to approach another girl named Lisa. This was code name, and she was worked at the French embassy. KGB also targeted her with tall, very handsome young man, but this girl did not to resist to him. After their relationship, they engaged in an endless sexual affair. Lisa found herself caught in a honey trap, and rather than be humiliated, she chose to give information to the KGB while she was in Russia. However, after returning to her home in France, she stopped being a KGB spy, and they left her alone. Nevertheless, the plan they had set for her was successfully accomplished. Another high-ranking official from a major country who fell victim to a stunningly beautiful woman was Anton Gudin. This man had served in the Royal Navy of the United Kingdom and had also been a spy in the city of Moscow during World War II. So, this man decided to visit Russia. The Soviets had already had their eyes on him because he had been a thorn in their side in the parliament as a member of parliament, opposing all politics that would unite the United Kingdom and the Soviets. He accused them of not respecting human rights and freedom, especially because the Soviets did not allow people to worship as they wished. This man, Gudin, became romantically involved with a stunningly beautiful woman named Zina Ida Grigorievna Volkova. She was one of the guides for tourists in the tourist area in Russia. During their intimate moments, there was a photographer nearby who was a KGB spy, and he carefully took many pictures. The Soviets waited for 4 years while this man, Anton Gudin, continued to obstruct any means by which the British could engage in discussions with Russian diplomats. The Soviets called him and warned him to stop his actions. In their warning, they showed him these photos and even asked him to resign from the British Parliament, but he refused. In January 1965, the KGB released the photos of this man in bed with the Russian woman Volkova. This affected him greatly, because he lost the 1966 elections due to his affair with a KGB spy. A trap he had fallen into long ago without realizing it, and it ultimately ruined him. It was not only this man, the KGB was very skilled in using women's beauty for spying. Many Americans were also extracted information through this method. For example, there was Marine named Clayton J. Lonetree, who became well known as a double agent spying for both Russia and America at the same time. It all started in 1985 when Clayton went to work in Russia and found himself in love with a Russian woman who was a KGB spy, Violet Sena. She worked as a translator at the American embassy in Moscow. Due to the closeness of their relationship, Clayton found himself deeply in love with this woman. It is very likely that while they were in bed, they talked about many things, and he shared many secrets about his country with her. He thought he was talking to an ordinary civilian. But this young man ended up paying the price for it. On July 21, 1987, he was tried and sentenced to 30 years in prison because of the beautiful spy who had led him into espionage, resulting in his imprisonment. Fortunately for him, Clayton was released in 1996 after serving 9 years of his sentence. Using sexual relations in politics, especially in spying, was used in the many years ago and continues to be used in this day. When they set you up with someone to have a sexual relationship with, they keep records of what happens. When the time comes, they will tell you what you must do, and if you refuse, they will make the records public. This technique was unique to the Soviet intelligence agency KGB and was one of their most refined methods, leaving a special mark on history around the world. It is believed that intelligence agencies today still use this method because it was developed by the Soviet spy from KGB. Thank you for listening us. This discussion is called Did You Know? We will continue with our conversations in future episodes. May God bless you.